It's Off Exit 10, presented by Capital District Sport and Fitness.
We just talk like kids do funny things in the gym all the time.
All the time. Right.
Every day. But we low-key do real funny shit too. And Sam did real funny shit yesterday.
Oh, gosh. It's relatable, though.
It is relatable.
Wait, what did you do yesterday?
So yesterday, so we got our new house, and Sam's been buying shit like crazy off Facebook Marketplace.
Oh, yeah, that's right. I remember this now.
So I was going to go with her, but I never do shit like that. So she went by herself to do a Marketplace pickup. What'd you get? Chairs?
Yeah, bar stools.
Bar stools. And she came back, and it was a successful pickup. But she walked into the gym. She's like, hey. I was like, me, Sam, and like 2 adults and a high school girl. She's like, hey, I got the chairs. She's like, but just to be safe, look what else I brought. And she's like, pulled out a fucking screwdriver out of her pocket.
Specifically a flathead.
A flathead.
That was a flathead.
A long flathead.
It was my self-defense in case I needed it. But I could have taken the guy that was selling the chairs.
He was dorky.
Yeah.
You could have taken him.
I think that, Sam, you could probably take most people.
I don't know about that.
I agree, but that's why you can't mess with people. You don't know who knows karate. You don't know now.
Especially now with Cobra Kai. You have no idea who knows karate.
Or MMA. You could have some little guy.
Yeah.
And you have no idea what he knows.
Put you in a fucking rear naked choke. Next thing you know, you're fucking passed out and you don't know where you are.
And he'll be done.
Yeah.
Yeah. But yeah, I've never taken a screwdriver with me to a Marketplace pickup. That's for sure.
Well, you're also not female, so you're not really worried about those things.
Have you ever gone to a Marketplace pickup? That's the question.
I've done one, and I've taken 0 screwdrivers to them.
Was Dan with you?
No.
So you were by yourself?
No, Dan was probably with me.
Okay, I was going to say, so you had protection.
Even one of the high schoolers was like, it's always the buddy rule. We're like, can't believe you sent her by yourself.
Yep. Mm-hmm. I do distinctly remember that.
Yeah. Yeah, this is real.
He's like, we always make sure we have 2 people going.
It's the buddy system.
Buddy system.
If you don't have 2 people,
you don't go.
You got 1 screwdriver.
That's your buddy, the screwdriver.
That's your buddy, man. But guys, we have Samantha Sirani with us here today. She is my wife, but she has a lot we can learn from. She's a registered dietitian, so she's worked with a ton of different clients, just educating them about nutrition, helping them make their bodies healthier and make changes to their bodies that they want to live a happier and healthier life. But she's also done it for real with her own body. She's competed in powerlifting competitions and won powerlifting competitions and competed in figure competitions. So she's really used nutrition to make changes to her own body and learn about that. So just kind of want to start there and talk about you and your powerlifting and figure competitions and I guess just like the impact that's had on how you think about working with people and with food in general and people's relationship with that.
It's definitely made me more sensitive when I'm talking to specific people about diet because it can be a sensitive topic. So just being mindful of how I approach things, especially when I'm working with females. Mm-hmm. Not mentioning, it's more about, okay, you need to fuel your body with quality foods, whole foods. It's not about like, you need to restrict this, cut out this, do this. And I try to make sure that they're not tracking obsessively or doing any of that.
Right. It's like people like to go to extremes. And like you took yourself to an extreme with that figure competition. And you're probably like, why the fuck would somebody want to do this in their regular life? Like this is miserable. But yet people think that's like where you need to go, right?
I can say I would never do it again.
Right. Well, why do people think?
It was brutal. I mean, it's just you're taking yourself to a level that, unless you're genetically blessed, is not really a sustainable lifestyle.
Right. But people think they need to go there to look a certain type of way.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then you disregard the mental, the psychological effects that could have.
Well, when you're in it, yeah, you're totally disregarding anything that your brain's telling you as far as this probably isn't the best for me in the long run to be this restrictive. Right. But you're so focused on the goal.
Right.
So it doesn't matter at that point. And then it's like after it happens, like post, you're just like immediately putting on 10 pounds and you're like, why is that happening? And then you start to go back in that restrictive cycle again. It's just finding that balance is pretty hard, especially when you've just seen your body go to that limit.
Like, what's some of the crazy stuff that you did when you look back and you're like, hey?
I ate a lot of broccoli, a lot of steamed broccoli. I would eat I would hard boil 6 eggs like every morning, take out the yolks, just eat that with broccoli. And then I wasn't allowed to drink. So I just would drink tequila on the rocks.
You weren't allowed to drink.
But I drank.
You found ways around it.
Well, we were living in Boston at the time, so a lot of happy hours. And I wasn't going to, not go to happy hour.
You still got to enjoy
I
life.
still had to live a little bit, but I would just drink tequila on the rocks. It's not enjoyable.
No, not
by
at
any
all.
means.
Listen, I don't like tequila with anything.
Yeah.
So
I'm a tequila guy, so
yeah, you are a big tequila guy, Paul.
can't relate.
Yeah, this is true. But okay, you go through all that. You do these extremes. Like, is the reward worth it in the end?
Now, the farther away I am from that, I would say no. But right after, I think there was probably a 2 or 3 year span where I was like, I could look like that if I just tried harder. And
Right.
that's where you go down a rabbit hole.
Right.
But when I reflect on it now, it's like I took my body from, I was powerlifting then, so it was like maybe 118 pounds, and I was like 100 pounds when I competed. And I lost that in 3 months. So
That's wild.
It's extreme.
Do you feel like, even though
I don't think I've weighed 100 pounds since middle school.
yeah, that's put some perspective on it. Do you feel like, though, even though the negative mental aspect of it, obviously, that happened, like with the nutrition and like trying to restrict yourself again, do you feel like there are certain aspects mentally, as far as being able to push yourself to that point, that have helped you later on, as far as being able to push yourself to that extreme?
I would say no, because it brings you right back into that cycle.
Okay.
I would say mentally powerlifting probably had more of what you're
Mhm.
getting at for me, because you just see how much strength you're gaining versus I was essentially withering away. I wasn't getting stronger. I was just getting leaner.
Yeah.
Right. That's like performance goals are so much more important than. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
It just has so much more longevity in your life, and I think in your happiness too. Like, we see it with athletes, and like high level athletes who are like, I want to have a 6-pack. I'm like, oh well, like I don't know if that's going to give you that contract that you want.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's just like that's a mind state that I think is tough to break, and I don't know why. Nutrition, it's just all of it is so psychological. Like, going into school for nutrition, did you think you were going to be basically doing psychology with people?
Yeah, we have essentially one counseling class that we went through, and a lot of it's just science-based. I do feel like we probably could have done a lot more, like a minor in psych, honestly, or just counseling techniques. One class probably isn't enough, because you're dealing with a lot of emotions around food. People view food differently. So, either they have an emotional response to it where they're binge eating because they're sad, or they're not eating because they're sad. There's just so much attachment to food emotionally that I don't think we're necessarily prepared for until you're out doing it
Right.
in the real world.
I have an emotional attachment to food. Like, I'll eat when I'm stressed. I'll eat when I'm happy. Like, I just like food. So, whether it's good or bad, but in the grand scheme of things, like you said, everybody has a different, mind state when it comes to food, and how they use it to either cope, whether it's when they're stressed, when they're happy, whatever it is. There's different ways that people use food to cope with things, and
Yeah.
it can be good or bad.
Yeah.
But usually bad.
Food can cause a dopamine response in your brain. So.
Oh, most definitely. It's such an important part of our culture. It's like, think about us tonight recording this podcast. We're like, hey, we're going to get some pizza. We're going to eat this pizza. You get excited. We're going to get some drinks.
Yep.
It's nice. But I guess it's finding that balance and helping people find that where they're able to enjoy those things but still be able to stay healthy and stay on track. So it has to be tough. It has to be tough to work through people and work through all of that. You know what else drives me crazy with nutrition? It's just people's idea of nutrition or nutrition coaches, like this field's a clusterfuck. Like regardless of if you're a strength coach, a personal trainer, a nutritionist, like let's say you're going to be a teacher, like you just can't walk into a first grade classroom and say, okay, I'm your teacher. Like there's a lot of schooling and there's licenses and there's training and there's student teaching. But in this field, you can take a weekend course and show up to a gym on fucking Monday and be a trainer. And now you're in charge of people's bodies. It's crazy. And it's one thing that drives me crazy in this field is just the lack of standards. So I feel like people get confused often of, I'm a nutrition coach, I can help you, versus I'm a registered dietitian, I can help you. Explain the difference so people understand.
So a registered dietitian or dietitian would be someone that has had a minimum of 4 years bachelor's degree. Now it's actually, you have to get a master's. So that's the biggest difference, and we have to take a national boards exam. So for someone to call themselves a nutritionist or a nutrition coach or a health coach, they could take one test online. And some people don't even do that. They might call themselves a nutritionist just because they've read a few books.
Right. But yeah, it drives me crazy. And listen, I'm sure some of those people are very good on the psychological side, and they still can help people and get results. But then when it comes to what happens when something turns south or somebody has disease, it's like you need to know what to do. That's
where it gets tricky because I remember when I was doing like one of my certifications for precision nutrition level 2, there was an individual in there who was coaching someone with kidney disease. And I almost lost it. I was like, you should not be dealing with this.
Wait, this person
you are so unequipped for this.
This person wasn't a dietitian.
No, they were just a nutrition coach. But there's so many things that go into like renal nutrition. There's labs you have to look at, and if they're on dialysis or not. Like there's so many different things, and then you're gonna give them 150 grams of protein and just destroy everything. Like,
right?
No.
Right. That's the tough part. Somebody comes in with a health history. Like we live in the United States. Like you're gonna have some pre-existing conditions. You're gonna high blood pressure, pre-diabetes, diabetes. Heart disease. It's like name it, high cholesterol. Like you're likely, if you're an adult in this country, unless you take care of yourself,
right,
you're coming to the table with something. And if you're going to see a nutritionist, you're coming to the table with something. So it's tough when you take that person with disease looking for help, and you're like, all right, here are your macros. Let's get to work. It's like, ugh. It's more than that.
It is more than that.
Yeah. I mean, the other thing too is everyone thinks they know everything about nutrition.
Yeah, it's a weird thing.
Everyone's an expert. It's when we have some parents that come in here and they're on a low carb diet, and they're like, oh, they should be on a low carb diet, and I'm like, they're literally doing like 4 practices a day. Like they're going from dance to soccer to something else. They do not need to be on a low carb diet. They need carbs.
Right.
That's fueling them. It's not. It's people just essentially want to eliminate whole food groups or whole macronutrients.
People get so emotionally attached.
Well, and we see it in here even with like some of the high school kids that are like so worried more about like how they look, and I'm like, well, what's the point of you coming in here? You're coming in here to get better at your sport. And then, you know, I used to use the analogy with like when I was in New York City with a lot of my clients, I'm like, you know, yeah, looking like Arnold or these bodybuilders is great and all, but is it functional? And do you really want to look like that, or would you rather look like somebody like one of these NFL running backs? And I'm like, when you think of the guys that we get in here that want abs, or girls that want abs or whatever, like all these athletes train the way that we're training them, and they get there.
Right.
But they don't see that. They just see whatever they see on social media, Instagram, on TV, these guys training with their shirt off, whatever. Like when you look at like professional athletes, they all train, you know, similar to the way that we train kids in here or athletes in here, but it's just to a different level because they're obviously on a professional level, so it might be slightly different, but a lot of the exercises they're doing are the same, just more advanced.
Right.
And they're getting those quote-unquote aesthetics because of, you know, proper nutrition that you're talking about, like fueling your body, not eating to become aesthetic, fuel your body, and then doing the workouts that are going to help you with your performance and then lead into that as well. And it's tough because we do see that in here. Like countless times I have, you know, kids coming up to me and asking me about what should my macros be? What should this be? How much protein should I be eating? And I'm like, listen, whatever your goal is, we'll work around it and focus on this, focus on that, whatever it is, X, Y, Z. But like, don't harp on like counting things. Like it's not
Right.
the be all end all.
Right. Like what are the bigger rocks that you'd like to see moved or addressed first before somebody gets in to counting? Like make sure you're doing X, Y, and Z, and then maybe we'll look at that.
I mean, it varies. I feel like, especially when I see some of the clients here.
Yeah, give me just
I've noticed that females tend to not eat a lot of protein. Males will either they're on that side or they're eating just like all protein and
Nothing else.
no vegetables, no fruits. It's just straight protein. So it just comes down to essentially balancing your plate. So you want to make sure you're having all the food groups at anytime you sit down. The only time I might say is a little bit more difficult will be breakfast. It's like you can't always, depending on what you're eating for breakfast, an omelet with vegetables and like a piece of toast would be the only way you're going to get a protein, a carb, a fat.
Right. So you're saying
But like people don't eat omelets every day.
omelets are nice though.
Omelets are nice.
I love omelets.
Love me a nice omelet.
I love pancakes.
French toast is better than pancakes though.
French toast, pancakes, or waffles.
French toast.
Waffles.
I'm going
Number one.
I'm going French toast.
French toast all the way.
I made pancakes last night.
But I did see French toast waffles recently, and I was like, I might need to try this because this could be a game changer.
Breakfast is my favorite meal of the day. You?
Breakfast food is my favorite food.
Right.
I wouldn't say breakfast is my favorite meal of the day because sometimes I don't eat breakfast till like 11. So like, is that really breakfast? It's like a brunch,
That's true. That's
So-
true. I'll do BFD every day. I'll do breakfast or dinner always.
Oh, anytime with any. I did it last night. Literally last night. Breakfast or dinner.
Oh, it's the best.
It was best.
It's the
great.
best. But see, I'm looking at the plate every meal. So you're saying you want to look at your plate and you want to see what? Break it down. You want to see a carb, a protein, and a fat in any type of ratios?
I would normally recommend, it depends. But most of the time it's a quarter of your plate would be protein, a quarter would be carbs, and the rest should be vegetables.
Right.
And maybe a little bit of fruit.
That's where people go wrong.
Yeah, no one eats enough vegetables.
Yeah.
And within that though, like within the carbs and the protein, they'll get their fats through that, right?
Yeah,
So
unless they're,
eating fucking chicken and rice,
yeah, I mean, they're getting a little bit from the chicken, but
but not a lot.
not really.
People get into that
It
extreme
also
too.
depends on how you're preparing the food too. So
True.
like, if you're making steamed vegetables versus like sauteing them in the pan, you're gonna get some olive oil or oil that you're sauteing in.
Right.
Yeah, that's a good point. But people get in that other extreme too. And I was there for a bit in college where it's like I was so obsessed. I get obsessed with things, man.
Yes.
Yeah.
I get so obsessed.
Yes.
Whatever I'm
That's
doing.
why you don't gamble.
I said that today.
Yep.
You guys talking about gambling. I was like, I can't. Because I get so obsessed with whatever I'm doing. I win once and it's like, it'd be dangerous. It'd be so dangerous. But yeah, I was like that with food. Like I was so obsessed with eating paleo. I went through a paleo phase. I don't even know why. Some other jack guy in college was like, I eat paleo. And I was like, I want to look like you. I'm going to do that too.
Mm-hmm.
And it was like plain chicken and vegetables and plain beef. And yeah.
Sounds terrible.
Terrible. It
Sounds
wasn't-
awful.
Awful. Awful. It's like I wasn't enjoying everything I was eating. I'm trying to scarf this down. But you see that too, Sam, or no?
Like, why are they just obsessive?
Or just like they don't even appreciate like how food tastes or
Oh,
cooking
I
it,
feel
or-
like that's how you are. But there
yeah.
are definitely people who view food just as sustenance. They don't need it to taste good. They just need it.
Right.
Like,
For fuel.
remember when Soylent was like popular and it was like advertised to tech
What-
people because they didn't have time to eat, so they would
Right.
just drink Soylent.
What's Soylent?
It's essentially like a meal replacement that just
I
has
remember
all of
this.
your macronutrients and micronutrients in it, and you just drink it. It's
sucks.
gross,
It's disgusting.
but it was marketed to people who essentially just did not care
Well,
if food tasted good or not.
Right.
It was just, oh, I need food to live.
Right.
It's mind blowing.
I enjoy food. I love food way too much. Not way too much. I just love food.
I love food way too much.
Yeah, I feel like Mike, essentially, you just look at it like, I'm not supposed to roast you on this, but
Roast away, man.
Mike just looks at it as I have to eat something, so. And he
I'm-
makes some weird combinations.
He may make some weird combinations, but I think he enjoys it.
I enjoy
at
it.
least sometimes.
No, he does. He thinks it tastes amazing. And I'm
Right.
like,
So
this is
so
bizarre.
he's not eating it just for fuel. He's enjoying it, but like it's just some weird concoctions that the normal person might not. put together. But that's just because he's trying to get all the food that he didn't eat throughout the day.
So
I have
in one
yet
sitting.
to meet like somebody that truly doesn't enjoy the taste of food, though. It's very like few and far between.
Yeah, unless you got COVID and you can't taste, then
And then you're fucked.
and that's
And
that. But
and sometimes if they are thinking that way, it might be a sign that they have some type of disordered eating because they're just
Right.
like, oh, I'll eat chicken and rice and broccoli every day,
Right.
and that's fine. I'm gonna look great.
Yeah.
Right.
Well, and I remember like when I got like very into like my fitness and things like that, obviously Instagram and everything, I would be watching this one guy, I can't remember his name off the top of my head, and you know, I used to model his workouts. He had a similar body type to mine, at least that's what I thought anyway. And I'm like watching him and like his workouts were great, and he literally said he eats for fuel. Like he doesn't eat for enjoyment. And I'm like, so in my head at that time, you know, this probably was like 6, 7, 8 years ago, something like that. 7 years ago probably now at this point. I don't know what year we're in at it now. And when I was living in New York, and like I was like, oh, that's how I should be viewing food. And then when I tried to do that, I was like, no, this isn't how I should be viewing food. I'm like, this is not good for my mental state. And so like I tracked calories, macros, all that for probably literally like 3 or 4 years almost straight. Like there'd be breaks here and there for like a week, but I never felt like I was like restricting myself when I was doing it because I didn't view it that way. I just viewed it as a way to hold myself accountable. But no, not most people don't do that.
right, like we're bashing on that. But like Sam, when's a place and time where you'll want to have somebody track? Because that's a real thing, and like being in a caloric deficit works for weight loss, and being in a caloric surplus is obviously going to work for weight gain. When's the time where you say, okay, let's track?
So I've noticed a lot here. I use it more for if they need to eat more because a lot of the guys think they're eating a lot, but they're not.
Yeah, right. We'll talk to a high school baseball kid.
Yeah, I'm like,
And they're
I'm like, track. See how much 4,000 calories are.
Yeah,
You're
it's a
not
lot.
eating 4,000
And
calories.
you
I'm
know,
sorry.
right? You know, right when you're like you're small talking. Like, what did you have for breakfast? I had toast and peanut butter. You're like, that's it. Like
Wait.
no fucking way you're hitting 4,000 calories
No.
with toast and peanut butter. No
And
way.
I mean, here I don't get a lot of weight loss people. I have a couple. We have done a little bit of tracking, but if I do have somebody do that, it's just to gauge what that amount of food looks like.
Right.
And I also talk to them about like volume of food too, so ways to make yourself feel fuller. So loading up on non-starchy vegetables, things that are high in fiber that'll fill you up, but they're not providing you with a bunch of calories.
Right.
So if you're eating, like some people get caught up in like they're tracking and they're like, oh, I'm eating this many calories, but they're literally just eating protein and like maybe a little bit of vegetables and then like trying to get those carbs.
Right.
So that adds up quick. So it's like, okay, you need to rebalance that out. So you should be having way more vegetables than you should of those other two macronutrients.
Yeah. Like, what are other tricks to help with like satiety? So, like the like feeling full. Because I remember when I was trying to gain weight, somebody once told me like just eat fast and beat your brain signals. Like, is there truth to that, or was I just a dumb college kid?
No, I mean that's definitely true. You're beating your hormones that tell you you're full.
Right.
That doesn't give them enough time to register that like, oh, I'm full. So if you eat really fast, you'll feel full at some point.
Oh yeah.
But you at that point have consumed more calories than you need before your body could register that and be like, oh, you need to slow down.
Right. No shit.
But yeah.
No shit.
I just that makes a lot of sense for my own personal
I mean,
body.
yeah, the biggest thing about feeling full though is proteins. You always have to pair things together.
What do you mean?
So if you're eating, so say you're sitting down for a snack, like you got hungry, and someone's just like, oh, I'm going to have this apple. An apple's not going to fill you up. You have to pair it with like a fat. So you're going to pair it with peanut butter or something, and you'll feel fuller. So you have to pair either, if you're going to have a fruit or a non-starchy carb like carrots and celery, you need to pair them with either a carb or a protein or a fat. Like they need to be paired together.
Right.
And it's also better for your blood sugar. So you're not eating a bunch of grapes, your blood sugar's spiking, versus if you had a little bit of fat, it kind of makes that curve not as dramatic.
Right. Yeah, that makes sense. Are there other tips and stuff or like tricks like to help you with like those hunger sensations or feeling full?
I mean, the other one would be that I tell a lot of weight loss clients is just eating your vegetables first. I'm going to talk about vegetables so much.
Vegetables, yeah.
But eating your protein and vegetables first, then having your carb. But you need to load up on those things.
Right.
That way they're not calorie dense. You're eating those things first, but because they're fibrous and they're going to pull that water in, you're going to feel fuller faster.
Right. People got to learn to cook. I'm not the one to talk, but like vegetables are fucking boring. Everybody should agree with that.
I fucking
right?
fully agree.
Dan Jones would agree with that.
Oh
Dan
my
Jones,
gosh.
does Dan Jones
Fucking
eat vegetables?
Smoke is thrown.
Barely.
One?
He eats Caesar salads.
Oh, Jesus.
Is it just lettuce?
It's romaine lettuce.
Is it romaine lettuce and the Caesar dressing? Like, is that it?
Are there anchovies in that?
And chicken, usually.
That's
but-
not a vegetable.
No,
Sam.
it's not. But I'm saying, like, it's literally romaine lettuce.
But, okay, give me what's one quick way you can make vegetables easy and taste better and easier to consume? We've done stuff before in like a pan in the oven with like spices and like...
Yeah. I mean, it's all about spices. So if you
Right.
like southwest, not southeast, what am I trying to say?
Mhm.
Like Tex-Mex style, you could add some cumin or other things to it to make it a little bit more tasty. But it's all about spices.
Right.
I enjoy vegetables for the most part. I mean, steamed vegetables can get pretty boring, but even if you're just like sauteing them or making like a stir fry and there's like soy sauce and stuff in there, it's pretty tasty.
Yeah, I'm a big, like, if I'm going to cook vegetables, I'm more of like the saute, stir fry.
Yeah.
Like, I feel like that gives a little more taste to the vegetables, even though I don't eat that many.
Right. I love condiments.
I mean, condiments make everything better. But
Yeah.
then if you're adding the condiments, is that really, what's the point of eating? I might as well just have French fries at that point.
Yeah, I would like to track the calories I consume in condiments every week. It's probably fucking
There's not
disgusting.
there's not that. I mean, ketchup, yeah, but your mustard doesn't really have
There's
But
not that many.
What about
but
like
No.
barbecue? Like does
barbecue
he,
sauce.
Does
Yeah,
he do barbecue sauce? a lot?
No, a lot of ketchup.
Okay.
Jeez.
Because I'm more of a barbecue fan, so that's where I get in trouble.
Yeah,
Barbecue.
I'm getting judged right now by everybody.
I'm not
listening.
judging you.
I put ketchup on my eggs.
I put ketchup on my
I put
eggs.
ketchup on my
Okay.
eggs. That's
I've-
not
I
bad.
I had an egg sandwich today. Salt, pepper, ketchup.
No, what's weird is just the amount of ketchup you use.
Well, let's.
I'm
let's put
obsessive.
it-
I said
let's-
I'm obsessive about things.
let's put it
Ketchup's
into
one of those
perspective.
things.
He puts a lot of ketchup on the plate, but he doesn't use it all.
No, it goes to waste and it bugs me.
It bugs me too. I go, how could I not eat all this? And I see it at the end, fucking down the drain.
Yeah, because you put like a half a cup of ketchup on your plate.
Mike, I'm sorry. I said no bullying earlier, but
It's hard.
It took a dark turn.
Getting fucking teased. I'm getting teased already. It's okay though.
Paul took the hit last time, so it's
yeah.
your turn.
Yeah, this
You
is
know.
true. I can wear it.
Yep, wear it on the sleeve. You know.
I can take it though. But no, man, nutrition's so important. It should be talked about more. And like we should address it more with people on here. Like we do our best, but like it really is a good. It's almost like a power up for reaching your goals. Like you can bust your ass in the gym, but okay, let's power it up with your nutrition and like let's get there faster or let's do it in a more sustainable way. Like if we add in nutrition for whether it's fat loss or for performance or for mass gain, it's just not talked about enough.
Yeah, I mean, here I think a lot of the discussion, especially since we're so like high school, college athlete focused, is it should be more on fueling your body, not
Right.
on the aesthetic goals.
It shouldn't always be that, and then just the aesthetic goals they come with it.
Yeah, but people have to understand that genetics also play a role in that. Like if you're not, like you were never lean, you're not built to be that way, and it's the cost of being lean. Like when I was competing was essentially eating nothing.
You're saying your genetics.
My genetics
they're not
are
meant for that.
Great. No, I'm just kidding.
You're saying
sorry,
they're-
family.
Your dad's like fucking. What'd she say?
Oh, he knows. It's my mom that'll be upset.
No, but you're saying your genetics, your body's not meant to go all the way that far on that low of a body fat, and you took it there, and that came with a cost. Is that what you're saying?
Yeah, it definitely did. Yeah, you have to look at your genetics. If your parents don't have a six-pack naturally or didn't when they were younger, it's probably going to be a little bit harder. But you can do things to make yourself feel better and look better just by working out.
That shouldn't be discouraging.
But
you
you
can still
shouldn't.
be healthy.
I don't think like, a lot of people go into it for the body image purposes. They're not going in it to be like, I want to just be. That comes with maturity. I feel like just wanting to be healthy.
Does COVID change that though, and make people want that earlier? I mean,
As
it's
far
real.
as being healthy,
Yeah.
I mean, I think people are still just so self-absorbed
That's how-
in Instagram
so
and
fucking
looking like an
absurd.
Instagram model
so
and all
crazy.
that stuff that it doesn't. Well, that's the other thing too, is they look at that and they think it's healthy. It might not be. It
Right.
might not be.
Well, and with
you don't know what that like they might show you a day in the life, but you actually don't know what a day in the life is.
Right, and it's funny you say that because just saw somebody posted it, and it was like, and she's some sort of registered, like she's actually like, she's like you are, like done schooling, like done all the shit she's supposed to do, not just read a book, right? And she was like, just because somebody shows you a day in the life of their eating doesn't mean that's going to work for you. It's not going to work for everybody. They're just showing you what they do.
Yeah,
like,
well,
that's it. But people market it as if this is all going to work for you, and
Right.
that's not the case when it comes down to it and whatnot. So it's crazy.
The other thing too is when you see stuff on social media, people just get so caught up in what worked for them.
Mhm.
That might not work for you.
Right. Well, and when you were talking about the maturity thing, I got a text message from one of my best friends that I lived with in New York today, and he was talking to me about how like he changed up his entire workout routine from what he used to do because he just fell out of love with like what made him love working out. And before, for him, it was just chasing a pump, being aesthetic, like getting big arms, like being super strong. And now, like for him, it's more that other route. And he's 23 or 24, so he's still relatively young, obviously. And he's like, I revamped my whole workouts to include X, Y, and Z with every workout, and now I like re-love working out, and it feels a lot better. And like you said, it comes with that maturity of like, I mean, we all went through the ego lifting and everything like that. Like it comes with that maturity.
Yeah, I mean, it's growth as far as, okay, I had the aesthetic, but how did I feel?
Right.
Like, do I have like full range of motion? Like mobility, is that even a thing when you're just like chasing the pump?
Right.
Like,
Yeah.
I'm sure there's people out there that definitely have full, like they do mobility, but they're also super jacked. But
Right.
a lot of the times when those are just like a general population person's goals, they're putting to the side how they actually feel.
Right.
Like I remember when I was powerlifting, my hips started to hurt. I mean, Mike could probably talk about the anatomy of it, but it was just like, I don't want to live with hip pain forever, so
Right.
we have to figure this out.
Right.
So,
Right.
and you guys do that every day with clients. So.
Every day. We're troubleshooting every day. But no, it's like people will ride or die with what they believe in or what they think is best. It's like until shit hits the fan. And then it's like, what do I do? Like until I mean, here's us right here. Until I tear my pec bench pressing. Until I tear my Achilles. And you go, whoa, like it's real though, right, Paul? It's like
It's fucking real.
It's a real mental realization. It's like I need to change something because I don't want to live my life like this. And the same for nutrition. Like, I'm going to eat this type of way. Oh, well, because I can, because my metabolism is good, because of X, Y, and Z, until I get sick, until the doctor tells me this. It's like, and then
what?
And then what? And then we got to make a change. And that's where, like, when we started, like, I think that's why performance goals are more important, because now you can drive all of these health benefits underneath them while not making that your main
Focus.
Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Yeah, I think that's a place more people need to be in, but we're all stubborn, and sometimes it takes shit hitting the fan to make you switch that mindset.
Absolutely.
Yeah, and it's like so you've worked in a ton of settings. You've worked in hospitals, rehab centers, universities, nonprofits. Like you've really done it all. Here, it's like I can't think of a setting that you haven't worked in. And like even doing nutrition in all these settings, like our med system still misses the boat on nutrition. Yeah, like
Yeah. Well, I remember sitting in on like I forget what it was. They have them at the hospital, like grand rounds, and it's essentially was a lot of doctors only really get maybe one unit, not a class, like a unit on nutrition.
Right.
They're not taught nutrition stuff. I mean, if they did a DO and not a regular MD, they'd probably get a little bit more nutrition, but it's
what's
different. Doctor of osteopathic medicine.
more holistic.
A little more holistic, but they work in every setting. It's not like they're just a holistic doctor. They could work in a regular hospital or
Right.
be a surgeon or
Right.
do whatever.
Right.
But yeah, they just don't. have that background unless they do their own research.
But it's so fucking important
Yeah.
to prevent everything they're trying to treat.
Yeah, I mean, if you think about a cardiologist or something, a lot of stuff could probably be meds, and in particular could be prevented if they just
Right.
sent them to a registered dietitian. I mean, that might not work for some people either. If they're not willing to make those changes, yeah, med's going to help.
Right. That's the trouble, right? Especially with this country.
Everyone wants a
It's like,
shortcut.
okay, here's what we got. You're going to have to stop drinking soda, have some veggies at breakfast, not eat as many snacks during the day, and get some fucking sleep. Or,
Take this pill.
I got this pad, I'm going to give you these pills, and go.
Yeah.
It's true, right?
I have had very few doctors tell me anything about nutrition. I mean, if they know my background, they don't really anyways, but
Right.
I mean, there's other stuff that they could have just been like, oh, you should do this and this.
Right.
I
They
feel
don't
like,
think that way.
and I feel like that's nutrition and other things, whether it's rehabbing an injury. I feel like it's like the bare minimum. Like
Yeah.
they're shown the bare minimum, and they tell you to do the bare minimum to get to where, like a doctor.
Mm-hmm.
And then you go see someone like you for nutrition, or like if you're like for me, like I'm obviously rehabbing my Achilles, going to a PT, and it's like they're telling, like I'm way ahead of the curve for where like a doctor would tell me I would be at.
Yeah.
And then like for you as a somebody that's in the nutrition field, like they may tell them like the bare minimum they have to do because that's all they know.
Yeah. I mean, a lot of times if you go to the doctor and you have high blood sugar or your A1C is high, which is just a indicator that your blood sugar runs high daily on an average, they'll just tell people, oh, if you lose a little bit of weight and you cut out carbs, that'll be the fix. But that's not always the case. It's not cutting out carbs. It's balancing your plate.
Right.
Mhm.
It's making sure, like, you can still eat carbs if you have diabetes. It's just a matter of balancing it out with protein and fat so that your blood sugar is not going through the roof.
Right.
But
Yeah, it's
they
like-
essentially tell people just, I shouldn't clump everyone together. But
No,
a lot of
no.
the times people are just told, okay, don't eat carbs. I mean, granted, a lot of them are drinking soda and whatever
Yeah.
else, but
Right. But that's
and just like lose weight. And it's like okay, losing weight is so easy. It's not. I mean,
It's not.
and a lot of times, I mean, there's so many research studies on this. People who lose weight and they did like keto or any of those things, it's short term.
Mhm.
They'll lose that weight. But then once they start reintroducing all those other foods back in that they cut out, they're going to gain it all back.
Yeah.
So it's a matter of figuring out, okay, how can I balance this out so I'm not cutting out major food groups and setting myself up for failure in the future.
Right. How fucking crazy was I watched reality TV like a motherfucker growing up.
That's funny. I was having a conversation with one of the kids today about reality TV. Actually, about Tiger King.
Yeah, that's fucked up. But no, how crazy was the show The Biggest Loser when you think about that?
Oh,
They're
that
nuts, right?
I mean, aren't a majority of them now just back to kind of where they were before?
Oh, I'm sure. It's like what you just said. It's like, let's restrict you completely and work out 8 hours a fucking day and then try to put you, while you're removed from your real life, and now let's put you back in your real life with all your other issues and bullshit and temptations and
Yeah.
day-to-day stuff. Yeah.
like
I mean, they essentially humiliate them, and
Yeah.
then
Oh, yeah.
it's brutal. It's like they're weighing them on a whatever those things are
fucking
called at
truck-
like a
Like a
factory,
truck stop
Yeah.
scale.
well, and
an industrial sized scale, and then they sign up to be on TV, but
Right.
it's still just like, okay, now you're eating 1,200 calories and exercising, and they're just like
dying.
dying.
Yeah.
Right.
Well, I don't even know what I was gonna say now.
I don't know, but
Sorry.
how much of everything is just a lack of education, though? It's like there's a lot of just Google whatever you're gonna Google, and there's so much stuff that's contradicting, that's wrong, that some of it's right, that's confusing.
Mm-hmm.
Like it's like education is so big. Like even like going to the grocery store, like it could be a lot. Like what do I buy? Like the labeling on things and what things say, and this is low fat, and this is low carb, and this is keto, and this is paleo, and I'm overwhelmed just talking about it. I'm a machine in the grocery store, though. People must hate me.
Yeah, you're like the person that's oblivious to everyone around you, just standing in the way.
I put my headphones in
Mm-hmm.
And
Mike,
just-
I'm the same.
and just fucking
I just go.
No regard for human life
None.
at all.
Zero.
Not
Zero.
at all.
I give zero fucks who's at the store. Like, I'm coming there to get what I want and get out of my way.
Right. Like if there's clients in the gym and you see me in the grocery store, like it's not me. Just let me do my thing and get out of there.
Yeah, I'm the opposite. I'm hyper aware of everyone around me.
Yeah.
But as far as like when you go into the store and there's just so much food marketing everywhere and you don't know what's what, it's confusing. I mean, everything right now is marked like keto or like that's the latest fad. So, and they can put anything on a food label. I shouldn't say anything, but there's certain parts that are regulated by the government and then there's other parts that aren't. So like natural being one of them. There really isn't a definition for natural from the government.
Right.
There really isn't. The only way, like the things that are regulated are like organic.
Okay, so what's who does this? FDA?
Can be a combination of both. So USDA is usually meats.
Okay.
And stuff like that, poultry, things like that. FDA does some other stuff. I'd have to verify.
So what makes something organic? To put that label on a package on a
What are we
chicken.
talking about? On a chicken?
Let's say chicken. Let's say meat.
Okay, so meat, there's no hormones that they're not allowed to use, like growth hormones or anything like that, or antibiotics.
Right.
That's another one. And there's feed regulations, so what they're feeding them as organic animals, but that also is grass-fed versus other things. So it just depends. So like, I'd have to verify if grass-fed is regulated, but
Right.
I would think it is,
Right.
because they would need to be, they're not eating corn or grains.
Right.
Versus.
So if you want to do the best thing by the animal and you're in a grocery store,
Don't go to the grocery store. Go to your local farmer.
I mean,
Good point.
I don't buy my meat from the grocery store. I use like
I
Butcher
mean,
Box and
if
things
you're
like that.
gonna go to the grocery store, yeah. I mean, try if you can afford it, get 100% organic, because then there are regulations that they're following, versus just picking up something that says natural. It doesn't really mean much. But if you're looking for like the best beef ever, you should just figure out what your local farmer, like if you're driving past a farm in Columbia County and those are meat cows and not dairy cows, and they're roaming around in a pasture, and that's probably your best bet.
Mm-hmm.
Right. Right. Yeah, it's crazy. I mean, like, because those things, like, okay, so if something is not organic and not grass-fed, like, what are they feeding that cow that then translates and isn't good for us?
The hormones and the antibiotics that are in there.
Because they want to get those things as big as they can, as fast as they can.
Mm-hmm.
They're
To
trying
make
to produce as much meat as possible, and their lifespan is way shorter
Right.
by doing that. So they're essentially born given all that stuff to just essentially grow so they can butcher them.
Yeah,
Call
what's
that
that?
the yellow chicken that's got like the yellow on the container on the bottom that's yellow, and the chicken breasts are like the size of your laptop.
Yeah.
And I'm like, that's not normal. Like a chicken
The
breast
Purdue
should
chickens.
Yeah.
yeah,
Purdue,
should not be that
Tyson,
big.
yeah,
That should
Tyson.
not be that big. Spicy Tyson's though. Come on.
Yeah, but it's those chickens, man. It's not good for the chickens. It's not good for you.
Well,
Yeah.
the other thing too is like when they say grass-fed or free range, that essentially means that, like especially with chickens, they have access to the outside. It doesn't mean that they're actually outside.
This is where it's tricky.
They could have like a little pen that is attached to the like barn or whatever they want to call those things, and they can just pop out if they want.
And then
But all they've ever known is inside, so a lot of the times they don't even go outside.
Right.
and then you can call it
Free range.
because they have a little fucking.
Because they got a fucking pen
It
that's the
has
size
the
of my glass.
dimensions, yeah, that it has to be.
It's a 2x2 cubicle, and they're like, oh, they can run around.
Okay, so what would you tell people? You're in the grocery store and it's like, this may look like it's great, but it's a trick on the label. Like natural, all natural is one. You can slap that on
Yeah.
anything. What about local? Like how local are we talking if something says local?
Well, I mean, if you think of Whole Foods, they tell you where it's from, but a lot of places aren't telling you where they're from.
Right.
I mean, Hannaford does. If you go to Hannaford, they'll usually
Okay.
tell you. But that's all relative. So local could be Vermont. I mean, for us, Vermont's not that far.
Right.
But yeah, it doesn't mean, for me, when I think local, it's, okay, what's near me? Like if I can go to a farmer's market or like a farm store, that's local. Like that's as local as it's gonna get.
I think that's the move. That's what we talked about on the
Supporting small business.
That's what we talked about with Rob.
Right.
It's just like, especially now in COVID, when you can.
Absolutely. I mean, anytime you can, go to your local, butcher or whoever and get your meat from them. One, it's gonna probably taste 1,000 times better.
Right.
And two, you're supporting a local business. You're getting a better quality of meat, and you're not getting all those hormones and antibiotics and all the other crap they put into the meat that is on your shelf in the grocery store.
The other thing too is we're focusing so much on meat is the cost-effective way, if you can't go to your local farmer, would be to eat more of a plant-based diet and get your proteins from plants.
Right.
Right. But now we have all this crazy Beyond Burgers and fake chicken nuggies and fucking fake shrimps. Like, you name it.
Yeah.
Like, where's that coming from? That can't be great for you.
I mean, they're processed. So
Right.
they're not, it's not natural,
Right.
whatever you want to
Like
use that word. A lot of them are made out of soy-based things. Beyond Burgers are made of like mushrooms and beets and things like that, but still processed
right.
to make it that way. I mean, I think they essentially made it in a lab to be like meat.
Right.
So like it bleeds like meat because there's beet juice in it.
Mm-hmm.
Right. Right. So if you're a consumer,
I mean, it's not like the worst possible thing, but if you're comparing it to a grass-fed burger, like comparable. I mean, yeah, one has probably way less calories, but as far as health goes,
it's like if you're just a health conscious
one's
consumer,
providing you with totally different things versus the other.
right. So if you're just doing this for your health, you'd recommend a local grass-fed.
I mean, if they're vegan and vegetarian and they want to have a burger, yeah, have that.
Right.
But if you really want it to be like a burger, then yeah, have a Beyond Burger. But if
Right.
you're okay with not having it taste like a burger, then have a black bean burger or something
Right.
like that.
Right.
It's funny. I was talking to one of the girls today about that, and she said that she really likes black bean burgers. And I was like, it's not my wave, but if you like it and it's your mom makes it, great
Right.
for you. Like that, that's a
Yeah.
healthy option for you.
No, I mean, it just depends on what. So a lot of people do things for more ethical reasons too. So like they might not eat meat because they don't like how it's raised or the ethical part of it. And then the whole other thing is sustainability. But that also comes down to how is the farmer like processing, which processing sounds wrong, but it essentially means butchering or taking
Right.
care of their animals through their life cycle
Right.
and things that they can do to make it more sustainable, which I'm not a specialist in that to truly talk about it, but
Right.
it depends. So like if you were really about like animal cruelty, then be a vegetarian
Right.
or be vegan. But you also have to remember to eat healthy
Yeah, that's the trouble.
because a lot of things can be vegetarian and vegan that aren't healthy.
Right.
Takis,
Well, and that's the
Yeah,
thing.
Oreos.
nice.
I mean, that comes down to the marketing that you talk about too. Like,
Yeah.
there's so many times where I'm constantly reading labels when I'm in a store. Like it's out of habit, and like whether it's looking at the macros on it or whatever, and I'll see gluten free or I'll see vegan, and I'll be like, oh, let me look at this, see what this says, and like I look at the calories and everything on it, and I'm like, I could go buy a box of Oreos and be just fine. And I mean, Oreos might be vegan or whatever, but they're not gluten free. But
They make gluten.
they do make gluten-free ones. But it's just like one of those things where you look at something because it says gluten-free or it says vegan, you think, or even it says high protein.
Yeah.
How many times have you gone, like, so many times I go into a store and I see something that says protein bar or high protein, and then I look at it and it's like 8 grams of protein. And I'm like,
Yeah.
that's not high protein. Like, I can get 8 grams of protein from a single serving of peanut butter.
Yeah.
Like, I don't need to buy this protein bar that's got all this other crap in it that isn't even really a protein bar
Yeah.
to hit my goals.
People are going to come for me for this, but
Go.
Kodiak cakes,
They're delicious.
they're delicious and they're high protein, but look at the added sugar.
Right.
Right.
So, like, if we're talking about food labels and you're going to the store to look at food labels, it can be confusing.
Yes.
One of the things I tell people to look at is the ingredient list. Is the ingredient list like 50 pages long or 50 ingredients? Like, okay, that's highly processed. There's lots of things in there. The other thing, too, is looking at added sugar. It depends on what you're buying, too.
Mm-hmm.
So, like, when I go to the grocery store, I don't really hit the middle aisles that frequently because that's where all the processed stuff is.
I do.
So you're shopping the perimeter of the store to get your produce, your meats, your dairy, your eggs. Those things don't have long ingredient lists.
Yeah.
The more you adventure into if you look at a gluten-free thing, people think gluten-free is healthy. But there's so many things that can be in there. You're
Right.
better off trying to figure out how to make it gluten-free at home.
Yeah.
I mean, there are some, like, quality stuff out there. But
Right, and there's specific things, like, I mean, my niece has to be gluten-free, so there's, like, specific things that she'll get because, like, she misses eating whatever it is.
yeah,
And,
you need to enjoy
you know,
food
so,
still.
again, it comes back to, like, not eating food just for fuel, like, eating it for, you know, to enjoy it. So, like, for her, she'll find, like, gluten-free Oreos. Like, not necessarily the best thing, there's a lot of processed stuff in it, but she likes Oreos. She misses eating them, so once they came out with the gluten-free ones, she eats them like they're going out of style. But, you know, again, it comes down to the balance, like you talk. Like, I feel like that's like the biggest word in this whole thing is like balance.
Yeah, moderation is what we like to use in
Yeah.
the dietitian world.
Sorry,
Moderation.
But that's okay.
technical terms.
Moderation, destruction.
Listen, we aren't destructing anything today. Not yet, anyway.
I mean, it comes with people will say they're vegetarian or vegan for essentially clout.
People do everything for fucking clout now.
But
I'm so glad we just
okay.
used that.
Now let's destruct what they're eating each day.
Right.
Yeah, they could be eating for breakfast pancakes, French toast. I'm not French toast. There's eggs in there, so you could make pancakes.
Don't talk down to French toast.
Don't ever talk down to French toast.
And then
There's
lunch,
protein in
they
there.
could still be eating. I don't even know. I'm trying to think of you can get like artificial deli meat.
Yeah.
You could be making an artificial deli meat sandwich, and then having some Oreos and some Takis on the side, and you're still vegan.
Yeah, absolutely. And the amount
Did
of time.
anyone ever see the TikTok where this girl, someone gave her an egg, and they told her it was a vegan egg because of marketing, because the chicken's vegan, they don't eat meat or dairy or anything, so they told her it was a vegan egg, and she thought it was literally like she could eat the egg because it's vegan. Like, no, that's still an egg.
Yeah, that's
It's not.
Ugh.
It was literally in the eggshell. It's like
These fucking-
they haven't gotten that far.
no.
Oh, this younger generation. That's rough.
Well,
You know who I love on TikTok?
Oh.
Say it.
Nona Pia.
Nona Pia.
Nona Pia.
Shout out Nona Pia. I showed you, right,
Showed
Paul?
me Nona Pia.
It's like this Italian grandmother, and her like grandson just films her, and just like talks you through what she's doing in the kitchen, and it's fucking amazing. I don't go on TikTok ever unless I feel like I'm sad and I want to look at Nona Pia cook to make me happier. That's the only time I ever go on.
But let's be honest, Nona Pia could probably help a lot of people with their nutrition because she probably makes things that taste amazing.
She puts a lot of salt and shit.
That's fine.
That's okay.
Okay.
It's okay.
You know, I mean,
We don't know if she has high blood pressure.
Right.
She's just living her life.
Just reduce the amount of salt that she puts in. Do like
she
half.
makes her own pasta sauce. She makes her own like pasta and stuff like that. So
Listen, can't knock the
that's
hustle.
as close to like natural as you're gonna get. Sorry, I yelled.
Yeah. Shout out
It's all
Nona
right.
Pia.
Shout out natural, you know?
Shout out natural. Shout out Nona Pia. Yeah. Pause this right now. Go look at Nona Pia, and then come back to us. You'll be
Yeah.
Yeah. Please do. Okay, but if you're vegan, yeah, we see it a lot. I've known people that say they're vegan and they just get, fucking things with labels on it, right? They think that this is good for me, but then they're missing a lot of their macronutrients and probably even more of their micronutrients.
Yeah, definitely micronutrients.
Definitely micronutrients. So,
I
let's-
mean, yeah, when you're missing out on whatever you're getting from meat sources, but you can get them from plants. But it's just a lot more
right, like, okay.
difficult. It's how it's broken down in your body.
Explain then, just in an easy way, complete proteins and incomplete proteins, and then if you're a vegan, how you need to know that, because you need to take these incomplete proteins and make them complete proteins for your body.
Yeah. Okay. So you're really bringing me back here on the science.
That's cool.
So complete proteins are things that you'd get from meat, or eggs and dairy. So they are going to have all the amino acids in them that you're going to need for your body to break it down and use that. And then there's the same as like heme iron. I'm gonna forget, and like non-heme iron. So a lot of vegans end up having or being anemic because they're missing out on iron, B12, things that you're gonna get from meat, fish, poultry. So in order to do those things, a lot of the times for most of the time you're gonna have to take a supplement unless you're either using like a cast iron skillet, so you're getting iron from leaching into your food from the cast iron skillet.
See, I did not know that.
I didn't know that either.
Or you're just pairing your, and I can't think of a specific example of this, but if you're having like beans or something, there's pairing things that you can do. Okay, so spinach is one. I do have an example.
Okay.
So, and I don't know if anyone knows this, but when you eat spinach or leafy greens, if you put vinegar on them, it helps you break down the iron that's in there.
Probably makes it tastier.
Can we
too.
verify that though?
Let me verify that.
Fact check,
Pretty
Paul,
sure
but
like
okay.
that's the
What am I
thing.
looking
It's
up?
helping
This
you
vinegar?
absorb the nutrients because
Well,
spinach and vinegar.
things interact like that. Like, right, like when I make my tea at night, I'm so fucking manly.
Hot
When I
tea,
make
bitch.
when I make my tea at night, oh, look it up, Paul. Did you find it? But I'm saying I have turmeric, but if you put in black pepper, it helps you
Yeah.
absorb better, right?
It's similar to that.
So the body does have interactions like that with what you're consuming, and pairing things does matter, like Sam said. Anything, Paul, or is Sam crazy over there?
I mean, listen, I want to find a like reputable source here.
Right.
Okay, I don't want to look at like fucking johnschmo.com.
I just remember that from class was if you are eating leafy greens to pair it with vinegar so that you're
Right.
breaking down.
Adding vinegar to foods that contain non-hema iron, is that how I say it?
Yeah.
Such as lentils and spinach can help better absorb iron.
Okay.
You are correct.
Thank you. Yes.
But it's the contain non-hema iron, whatever that means. I'm not a scientist.
Right. That makes
There's
sense.
there's a bunch of little things like that.
But it's just, you got to be more conscious. And then what would you supplement with?
It's usually like B12 and iron if you're not getting it enough from foods.
Right. Supplements are crazy.
Supplements are wild.
Supplement industry is nuts.
I had 3 kids this week come up to me and ask me, like, what supplement should I be taking? And I'm just like, I was rolling the back of my head goes towards the ceiling, and I'm like, I fucking hate my life.
What do you say?
I mean, I said keep it simple. I'm like, only use protein as needed. Like, if you feel like you're not eating enough protein in your day and whatnot, like, and that's a lot of times comes down to like if they are tracking or not, which most of the kids I hope aren't tracking. But really, that's just as like if you feel like you're not eating enough protein in your day, or like you need something convenient in your day because you're going from school, here, practice, home.
Right.
Like you had 7 practices today. Yeah, you got to have something in between those. Creatine is one of those things that, I talk about, but again, it's, on a case by case basis, and then from there, it's like simple stuff, multivitamin.
Right.
I take that, a fish oil supplement and turmeric for inflammation. Like that's pretty much all that you need, basic stuff. Like, I mean, and again, it's all dependent on what your health history is and things like that. And if you're going to, somebody that's a dietitian or something, and they're recommending things for your health, that's a whole different beast. This is just personally what I take. And when I talk to the kids, I'm like, don't overcomplicate it.
Right.
And then pre-workout, got to have my caffeine.
You got to get our caffeine.
And, and some of the kids I tell them, like, you don't need it.
Right.
You don't need it. But I mean, if you try it and you like it and it's something that you want, and obviously depending on their age, like I tell them, like, give it a try. And if you don't like it, you don't like it. Like, if you like it, take it here and there when you feel like you need it, especially like, some of these older kids that are seniors or juniors that, like we just talked about, going from 2 practices and then right after school, and they come here at 6 o'clock at night to try to get a lift in. And it's like, first of all, go the fuck home. But if you're going to get a lift in, you might want a little extra juice behind you to help you get through that lift. So, I talked to one of the kids today, and he even said he's probably going to use it during season because last season it's like I lost 10 pounds and, I wasn't able to work out as much because I just didn't have the motivation to. But he's like, I took pre-workout the other day for the first time. And he's like, I definitely could see the benefit, like, when I'm in season. He's like, I probably won't take it out of season. And I'm like, yeah, you say that now. But, like, I can see where, like, the benefit would come for him in season because then he has that, extra juice to get him through a workout. Even if it's only 45 minutes, it's something better. It's better than nothing. And then he hopefully won't lose that weight that he doesn't want to lose and
Right.
whatnot.
Well, the other question is, are you just using the supplement to Band-Aid your bad diet?
Exactly.
Or your poor sleep.
Or your
high,
poor sleep.
or your high levels of stress. It's
Right.
like
Yeah.
there's bigger things to take care of first. That's what I tell
So
somebody first.
if you look at professional athlete or somebody who's super competitive, they're using supplements for like the edge, not to like band-aid whatever's going wrong.
You're right. Not to baseline. Their baseline's high.
Their baseline's good.
Yeah.
I'm sure you could, like, Tom Brady's like one of the big ones that people always talk about.
TB12.
It's the GOAT.
But his diet is like immaculate. So like if he's taking supplements, it's essentially just to like give him the other edge of recovery and repair and all the other stuff.
Right.
A lot of the times when people ask me about supplements, I'm like, okay, why do you want to take that?
Right.
Like, what's the purpose behind it? And a lot of times they'll say, well, I think it's going to make me jacked or
Right.
something.
And that makes, that the asking the why, and that goes to like pretty much anything in here.
Yeah.
I feel like is like the biggest thing, like why? Like why do you want to do that? And, I feel like whether or not I do it all the time when supplements do get brought up to me, I feel like I tell them why I use them.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that gives them like, okay, I don't need this. Like I need to focus on X, Y, and Z first, and then, add in the supplement here or supplement there or whatever it is, and whatnot. But that asking them the why is definitely like, whether it's why do you want to lose weight? Why do you want to take the supplement? Why, like whatever it is, like what's your why? And then we can figure out how to get you there.
The other thing too is if they're saying they're so sore and they're coming from 8 practices, so they want to take something, and it's like, okay, let's get to the root cause of this. Like,
Right.
Is it because you actually need a supplement for that, or should we tone it back a little bit?
Yeah.
Right. I think too, like we talked about regulations when it comes to meat and other food industries. Like supplements
Are not
nuts
regulated.
because they're not regulated. Like I think
Yes.
it was back in the day documentary Bigger, Faster, Stronger. I think it was like was it Mark Bell? I think it was
It
Bell
might have been
Brothers.
Mark Bell,
I think it was
yeah.
Mark Bell, but he goes out and shows how unregulated it is and like makes a supplement and calls it a proprietary blend. And I look at shit kids bring in here, and the first thing it says is proprietary blend.
Yep.
And they just put nothing in a pill.
Yeah.
Nothing, and called it a proprietary
Or
blend
pre-workout.
and sold it. Right, some caffeine and some taurine and this, and just boom, proprietary blend, and they market it as this.
Yeah.
But there's no regulation of how much of everything's in it, and so it's like, right, that's a big piece is understanding like you need to be very selective in what supplements you're taking.
Yeah.
Right.
Well, I know one of the things too is a lot of the times when I'm talking to like high school juniors, high school seniors, I'm like, when you go to college, you have to make sure whatever supplements you're taking are NSF certified.
Right, explain that, because that we always got to tell kids. when
It
we go
just
to
means,
college.
it essentially means that the supplements are third-party tested. You're not getting anything crazy additives that are put in there, the proprietary blends,
Right,
that's going to pop up on a drug test.
Right.
right. And any pro athlete we worked in here and we talk supplements, like, okay, let me run this by my
They're
agent
very strict.
and make sure it's NSF. It's
Yep.
like very strict. So yeah, like don't fuck around as a high schooler.
I do have to say the NSF website needs to update however it works because it's poor.
Shots
It's
fired.
like you can't find anything that you want to find on there.
NSF,
Sorry.
fix your shit.
It's hard. I like tell people, okay, go check to make sure it's NSF certified. A lot of the times I tell them, okay, if you're gonna go to GNC,
hmm
you need to make sure it has that label on it.
And
And I show them the label.
yeah,
Mhm.
And it's like, if you go there, you need to tell them that you want something that's NSF certified,
And-
or else they're gonna sell you whatever.
right. And I worked at GNC, so I know for a fact they're going to sell you whatever the fuck they can sell you. That is the most expensive thing.
Right.
Like, that's just how they operate, and whatever's going to make that person the most money. But there's very few things in that store that have the NSF label on it. Like very
Yeah.
few. And back to like when we get people recommending, like asking me for supplement recommendations, like I try to steer them towards the brands that I know don't have those proprietary blends, because I'm like, you don't want that. And then I try to think of like, okay, what ones are NSF, like,
What,
Yeah.
certified.
What's your most like common misconception you hear with a supplement? I know mine. Mine is creatine's gonna make me fucking jacked. This is it. This is the thing. I'm gonna get on. They say I'm on creatine. They say it's like you're on creatine. You're taking like sit
See,
down, buddy. You're on creatine. Hold on. Slow down right now, please.
See, I think of creatine more. When I think of creatine, I think of parents thinking it's like a steroid.
Right. Well, think how it's used. Right. Like you're using this creatine phosphate for quick bursts of energy in your body.
Right.
So you're building up this store that you have, so you can do more repeat explosive activity.
Yeah.
It's not like I'm gonna take this and I'm gonna look like fucking Lou Ferrigno tomorrow.
I wish.
In my
but,
basement with my dad, just like doing shoulder presses.
Yeah.
It's like it's just not gonna happen. That one drive. I'm on creatine. Like, oh, okay. Should you be in here right now? Like, maybe you should go home.
Did you use a syringe for that, or like?
Yeah. Like, jeez. That drives me crazy. I don't know, Sam. Also, the NSF site is bad. Check out examine.com. They do a good job of just explaining research and like just showing if this is factual or if this isn't proven with benefits for a supplement. So they're a solid site to check out.
Mm-hmm.
But if you're going to recommend some, Sam, I know you don't like doing, let's say somebody's on point with their sleep and their hydration and their nutrition and their training and their mental health, and they say, okay, I want the edge.
So not me.
Not Paul, not me. Yeah, they want the edge. What are you going to recommend?
It still depends on their goals.
Let's say they're an athlete.
Okay, they're an athlete. So we're talking recovery?
We're saying recovery and performance.
Okay. I would say they're probably already using a quality protein powder.
Okay.
They could use creatine depending on, there's evidence that supports it for cross-country runners
Right.
and lifters.
Right. What kind of creatine, though? Because there's a lot of different brands out there, and only one, I think, has good research on it. We'd have to, I'm quite sure.
I'm like 90% sure.
That
but-
creatine monohydrate
Yeah,
is...
creatine. I was going to say monohydrate.
Yeah.
I thought you
Right.
were looking for a brand.
No,
No,
I'm just
no,
looking...
no,
I
no,
was
like the type
No, it
of
needs
creatine.
to be creatine monohydrate.
Right.
What's the other one? BCAAs,
Hmm.
branched chain amino acids, is another one. Fish oil.
Nice.
I'm a big fan of fish oil.
What
Yeah.
what about...
If you're looking at immune health, obviously like vitamin C and zinc.
Hmm. Yeah, zinc's a big one.
You have, zinc's bigger than vitamin C. People actually don't know that.
Mm-hmm.
So when you get a cold, people tend to load up on. So if you get emergency, they're advertising the vitamin C, but there's zinc in there, and that zinc is actually like
That's the juice.
the juice. Yeah,
That's the juice, baby. Give me that zinc.
yeah.
Give me that zinc. What about... I'm just trying to run down a list of shit I hear or see every day. What about like an athletic greens or a green supplement?
I kind of think they're a waste. My personal opinion, it's expensive juice.
Right.
If you're really not getting enough greens,
Yeah.
yeah,
Okay.
fine. Have a green supplement. You're probably gonna get some micronutrients in there that you're not getting from.
Fuck. There goes our athletic green sponsorship right there. Fucking balls, Sam.
I thought we had amazing grass, to be honest with you.
Okay.
No, we've definitely done it. We've used greens before.
Yeah.
I never really felt like it did. It's not like providing you with like, oh, I feel great now because I have greens.
Right.
Yeah, I've never felt
Sorry,
like that.
did I really ruin your future sponsorships
No,
there?
I'm just busting your balls. No, it's all good. What about like vitamin D, especially here in...
Yeah,
fucking
vitamin
winter.
D definitely. Might want to just get your levels tested before
Right.
you start taking it. But that's something if you go to your regular annual appointments. Dan Jones.
Jesus, shots fired.
Paul Morse.
Shots fired.
And Mike. Mike doesn't go either. None of you guys do. To your annual physicals.
Oh, I hit that shit last year. Come on,
Yeah,
man.
how long before that?
I routinely
Yeah,
call Mike
exactly.
the doctor, so that's my doctor.
So yeah, if you go to your doctor, if you go to your annual, you can ask for those things. They'll do them. It's not like one of the things that they need prior approval for or anything like that.
Right. Well, that makes sense. Yeah, supplements are just a crazy industry, and I don't know, these are unregulated and people are uneducated, and they end up being on creatine, and it's just like, let's figure out what we're
Yeah.
what
It
we're
just
doing
sounds
right
like they're
here.
saying I'm on drugs.
Right.
Yeah, like what are you really trying to do here?
Like, Mike, come here.
Come here, I don't want to tell anybody.
I just squatted 225. I'm on creatine. Just like, it doesn't count then.
Doesn't count. Doesn't count.
It doesn't count then.
Should the other rule be if you're taking creatine, you have to be able to talk to girls?
Oh, Jesus. Shots fired again.
I think that should be a rule. I think that should be a rule.
Yeah,
Definitely.
I'm not opposed to that at all, man. No, not at all. But yeah, supplements is just crazy. I think it's good people just have a baseline understanding of like how it's so unregulated and what things kind of really do for your body. Because you've worked with, You interned at. I love stories when you interned at Notre Dame. You knew I was going to bring this
I know,
up.
and I didn't want you to, but it's fine.
I know.
Well,
and
too
here,
late. We're
and,
here.
And here we are. So who'd you? Listen, that's a big, very prestigious university and high-level
Yeah.
athletes. And okay, so this is
I
part
was
of your,
only there for a month.
for a month.
Okay, thank you.
Would you learn, or what did?
I mean, I learned a lot.
Okay.
It's 30 days longer than me.
Yeah, thanks.
So what do you want to know though? Like what supplements
You're with
they
high-level athletes, so let's were they what you thought? Were there not? You know what I mean? Like, how much stuff was just fed to them? Like, hey, this is what you're gonna do. This is it. And that's
There
it.
was definitely the people you knew were going somewhere, and then there's the other ones that they're there and they're playing Division I athletics, which is great.
Right.
And you know exactly what I'm referring to. But they're not. They're not all in it.
Right.
Like I remember having a conversation in one of the lounges where one of the kids was like, "I want to look like so and so on the team," and the other dietitian was like, "Those are his genetics. You don't have those genetics."
Was that Bon Jovi's kid?
Oh my, no.
It wasn't?
Oh my God.
Listen, hey, everybody gets put on blast. Here.
No. But in terms of just stuff being given to them, like, so we're gonna eat this, we're gonna drink this, what you're gonna do.
They're essentially told exactly what to eat and what to drink and given supplements when they come in post workout or whatever it is, post practice. They're made a bunch of smoothies that they're just handed.
Right.
Yeah, I mean, they have it all set up for them. One of the discussions we did have while we were there was, okay, what happens to these kids when they leave that aren't going into professional sports?
Right.
And I do think they did a really good job of teaching them healthy eating. I mean, a lot of it was kind of placed in front of them, but they're given the tools to be like, okay, this is what. They had so many meetings on just okay, I need to fuel my body. This is what I need. But then if you look at the football team, a linebacker who's eating that many calories while in season and while they're playing, and then they leave, they gain a bunch of weight because they're still eating they're playing Division I football.
Right. This is where, especially when it comes to weightlifting too, and athletics and nutrition, you have to understand that performance, right? Like peak performance and optimal health are on two different ends of a spectrum.
Mm-hmm.
Right? Like, I need to train and eat to be the best lineman I can be.
Mm-hmm.
Well, the more you push yourself to being the best lineman you can be, you're sacrificing yourself on this other end of health. So then, what happens when your career is over and in your life? It doesn't fucking matter if you're the best lineman you can be, but it matters if you're healthy for your kids and what you need to do in life.
I know a lot of the discussion too for them was, okay, they are trying to set them up for success post college if they're not going to play.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, obviously there's favoritism there because they do have their elite guys that they know are going somewhere.
Right.
Or they're only there for a year.
This drives me crazy. You see this favoritism trickle down the system.
It does.
It trickles down. Okay, if you have a guy at a D1 program and you know he's got millions of dollars on the line in a couple months, okay, I got to take care of this guy because it's going to change his life. And I have to take that very seriously. But then we see a kid who's 11 years old who hit one home run on his team, and they're treating this kid the same way.
And it's why? Why?
I mean, just think about, this happened to us too. If you think about in high school, how special did you feel?
Special?
You're we lived in a small town, so you just feel okay, and then you go to college, reality check. You're no longer, no one knows you, no one gives a shit.
Right.
It's the same exact thing. It's life perspective. So yeah, you might be great at 11 years old, and everyone's doting on you because you're the star player and you carry that through, and then you get to whatever school you're going to play at, and maybe you're the last one on the team.
Yeah.
What happens to your ego then?
I mean, I just remember when we were growing up, Danny Almonte.
Yeah.
You remember Danny Almonte, right?
Yeah, it was
from Harlem. I mean, he was 16.
Playing with 12-year-olds, imagine that.
But at the same time, where's he now? I
don't know.
He's and that's the thing is granted, other things probably played into that,
right?
Being the fact that he was 3 or 4 years older, but you got these young kids, and it's why are we putting all this pressure on them to be this elite level 11 U?
But you're right. Eventually, you're not going to be the big fish in the small pond. You're going to be a small fish in a big pond if you're going to progress your life. You lived in New York City.
Mm-hmm.
and people aren't listening. Like Paul and Sam and I have known each other since like elementary school. So
My whole life.
our whole life. So like just kind of going through this process of being
Second
like
grade.
second grade, second grade to be precise.
Second grade, really? We weren't in kindergarten together.
No.
No.
Fuck, I hated third grade because
Actually, it may have been third grade.
I hated third grade.
No, we had Mrs. Sten.
Oh, you were in Miss
Oh,
Sten's
she's a
class?
saint.
She is.
She is.
She was the teacher that turned me around.
She's a
I remember
saint.
when she used to substitute for high school, and
Yeah.
I was like, "This is gonna be the easiest day ever."
Is Mrs. Sten? She's still alive?
I hope so.
I hope
hope
she's
so.
listening. Oh, shout out Mrs. Sten.
Shout out Mrs. Sten. Great teacher.
Yeah. But what were you going to say about us all knowing each other?
Just since then, and just like going from being
Oh, like going down to New York and everything.
Yeah,
Yeah,
just-
like going down to New York definitely, was overwhelming as a trainer. You go down there, and I didn't even go down there originally to train. Like I went down there, I transferred down there when I was working for GNC. I was like, let's see if I can turn this into a full-time thing. Fucking hated it. Decided not what I wanted to do. And then I went into the training aspect, back into it, and definitely felt like overwhelmed when I first started. But I had very good support from like the other trainers that were around me. And then just through getting my clients and things like that, like I felt like more of a bigger fish than I was, but I still wasn't a big fish in New York City. But every time I would talk to, whether it was a client of mine or even a random person in gym, they'd be like, "You're one of like the best trainers I've seen come through here." And like, even though it was one gym in New York City, it made, obviously makes you feel better about it. But like going from being in high school where you have 98 kids in your graduating class to the mecca of people, like the melting pot of everybody, it can be overwhelming and can definitely humble you as far as where you are as a trainer or whatever
whatever
career
you're doing in
path
life.
you're
I think
doing.
it can humble you when you go from small fish to big pond, and then to did I say right? From
Small
big fish
fi-
to small pond.
Yeah.
Fucking too much of this whiskey. And then going into small fish and big pond though, it definitely puts things in perspective. And it also for me, I felt like just made me move faster. Like life's just moving fast, and you got to either go with it or you're gonna get left behind. I don't know if that's just my anxiety.
No, you have always moved fast.
Yeah.
Jordan could probably attest to that. But
Yeah.
Side note, I got some outside information.
Go.
And Danny Almonte is an assistant high school baseball coach in New York City. Just thought
There
I'd
we
throw
go.
that
Okay,
out
he's
there.
doing okay.
He's
Yeah.
okay.
Hope he's happy.
I mean, I hope he's
I
happy.
just want him to be happy.
As long as
that's
he's
all.
happy, but assistant high school baseball coach from where he was,
Yeah.
but as long as he's happy.
I just want people to be happy. That's all. But no, I just think that's an important part of life. Is you just put yourself in uncomfortable situations, go from being like that big fish in a small pond to small fish
In a big pond.
in a big pond.
And we've talked about this before, Mike, where like moving out of your hometown or whatever is like, it's like unlocking this like potential that you don't even know that's out there.
It's like in like Super Mario Brothers in like the second level or the third level when you could jump up top and you run across the whole world
yep.
and you dump yourself down.
Yep.
You're fucking doing that.
Yeah,
It's next level. Boom. I'm skipping 5 levels and going to the next level.
that's a great analogy. I'm
That's
glad you used that.
exactly what it's like.
Like it makes a big difference when you go, like you said, going from being like a big fish in a small pond to going into somewhere where you're not the big fish, and you're just swimming around with everybody else, and it's like, all right, I got to find my way again and figure out, how do I stand out amongst all these people.
Mm-hmm.
And then, for me, like moving back here, like all the stuff I learned there, I feel like has just allowed me, and I'm sure you can say the same thing with being in Boston, same for you, Sam, is like I feel like I'm at a whole nother level that like other people around this area can't even get to because they haven't experienced the things that we've experienced.
Yeah, you didn't know how to jump up above the world and run across and then jump
Nope.
down.
Nope.
Well, it's just the opportunities you're given. So I could have gone to like a local school for my dietitian education. I don't know if the opportunities I had in Boston prior to coming home would have allowed me to have the same opportunities I would have had here.
Yeah.
Because those experiences there's way more opportunities in a big city.
Absolutely. I mean,
And then you're going to now take somebody who lived in a big city and had this whatever job it was, and then they come back to a smaller area and they have that experience at like a major hospital or something if you're thinking about a dietitian.
Mhm.
And they're coming home and that gives them an edge.
Yeah, I think if you're a high school kid listening, like, just fucking go for it. Like, you're going to be scared if you live from New York to go to college in Florida or Virginia or somewhere, but just fucking do it.
Mm-hmm.
Just do it. It's going to suck, and you're going to be scared, and you're going to be nervous, and you're going to struggle, but when you look back, it's like, it's those type of things that level you up.
Yeah, and I mean, you know, when I went to New York, I'll never forget. Like, we moved down there, and one of my best friends that moved down there with me. You want to talk about struggle? Kid, literally, I'll never forget this day. Was working till close, so he got out of work at 10. And he used to like walk around New York City, like just to kind of explore a little bit. Well, his phone died. He's got no money and has no idea how to get around New York City because we literally just moved there. So he's looking at like a subway map, like it looks like fucking, you know, like the symbols in Transformers. Like that's what it looks like to him. And he's like, needless to say, he doesn't get home till like 2 or 3 o'clock in the morning. And like this happened, like not this exact thing, but like he just went through like tough shit for like the first month, whether it was his phone not working properly, not knowing where to go, going to 7 different GNC stores to work at that were all over the city that he had no idea where he was going. And he made it through that. And like there were countless times I thought he was going home, thought he was going back to Massachusetts, wasn't going to stay in New York City. He ended up staying there, and like ultimately like he's back up here now going to school, but he's going to end up moving back down there. And like he said, like he can't see himself not living in New York City. So like Mike said, like if you feel it's something you should do or you want to take that leap, don't be afraid to do it. There's going to be struggle. There's going to be hard times, but you get through those times, and like at the end of it all, when you see the light at the end of the tunnel, take that one step in front of the other, the light at the end of the tunnel, and you'll thank yourself in the end.
Yeah, you're just going to be uncomfortable. Like I remember you used to wake up at 4 in the morning, go work at a gym, and then go to school, and then go work at a hospital.
The grind.
Fucking grind. You
That
just got to grind.
awful.
Yeah.
I had like 3 jobs in order to pay the rent before Mike moved out there, and then he was like, "You need to quit one of these."
Yeah, you're missing.
No, I would wake up. I opened up a gym. I worked at like the front desk. So I'd take literally the first train in the morning, downtown, and then open the gym, and then leave and go to class, and then come home, take a nap, and then go to the hospital to work at the hospital.
You wish you had that screwdriver on the train sometimes?
Probably.
I was just going to say that. Like how scary was that?
Oh.
Well, we talked about a story the other day.
Oh, tell me this story. This story is great. It's like a 4 in the morning classic train story.
Yeah, I was going to work, and I got on the train, and it was in Boston, the train's above, and then it goes under.
Okay.
After a certain
Some of
point.
the
So you're
trains
street level.
Some of the trains in New York
But do they stop with traffic?
Fuck no.
Yeah, no, these ones do. And Boston's weird.
Absolutely not.
The T is weird. Yeah, you'd have to like stop like at intersections. They would have lights they'd have to stop at. Cars were like going the other way.
It's terrible.
Yeah, so anyways, I'm on the train, and this woman gets on, and she was clearly homeless and had some stuff going on. But she got on, and I was just sitting there and drinking my coffee. And she's like not doing well, so she's yelling, and then she's like, "I'm gonna kill the bitch with the coffee mug." And I'm like looking around. I'm like, I'm literally the only one here.
Holding the coffee mug.
I'm like, I'm just gonna sit here. I'm just gonna wait.
Like, I'm that bitch with the coffee mug.
Yeah. So I just wait, and I got off the next stop, but it was fine. I mean, I've also had like men follow me home. It's like Mike's like, "Oh, the screwdriver story's funny," but it's real.
I mean, there's a reason why you brought it.
Yeah.
Like you didn't bring it for no reason. You've been
Yeah.
through some experiences in life, you know.
Yeah.
So
Now we're scaring people from living in the city, but
No, just bring a screwdriver with
just
you.
bring a screwdriver with you. Buddy system. Remember the buddy system.
the buddy system is definitely a thing.
Buddy system's a good thing.
Yeah.
Follow the buddy system.
Yeah, this is true, man. But no, the grind was real, man. It's like you just got to go through that to get to that next spot. That was a long time before a pee break.
That was
How long were you holding it for?
at 30 minutes minimum.
Fuck,
30.
You
We were
feel-
flowing.
You feel better?
Oh, I feel way better.
I feel better.
I could definitely go a lot longer, but we'll just see how it goes.
Okay, we're good. You poured another one though?
Yeah, we're in there.
Sam, you're good over there? Locked
Yeah.
and loaded?
Mhm.
We just ran with it right there. What are you drinking, Sam?
I am drinking, is it called Toe Rope? Toe Rope Gin from Schenectady Distillery.
You went
They're
there.
36 locks.
You went there yesterday.
I went there yesterday. tasted everything and
Everything?
actually probably everything.
What a night.
Did you drive home after that?
Yeah, it wasn't. They're like little
Oh,
itty
okay.
bitty
All right.
pores.
I didn't know if they gave you like a flight.
No, it's not.
Don't drink and drive, whoever's listening.
No, it was just like it wasn't like a whole shot glass.
Okay.
It was like a little sip
Okay.
in each one.
Right. And this is our whiskeys from the same place, right? Black Rock?
Yeah.
Black Rock Bourbon.
36 locks. I think.
Schenectady Distillery.
We looked up, like, it's something to do with boats and stuff,
The
right?
locks that are in New York.
Okay.
Remember we went on the Dutch Apple cruise and
there's
you
like
learned about locks?
Yeah. I mean, if you on the bottle on the bottle of ours, there's like a little story or whatever. Mike and I were reading it earlier.
Yeah.
So
It's smooth, though.
yeah, definitely,
good.
definitely one of the best bourbons like I've had. Like the first sip I took out, I was like, this is dangerous.
No,
Well,
for real.
I made myself a gin martini over here.
It's beautiful
Fancy.
over
007 over there.
Yep.
there. It's delicious, though. Wait, what's the thing? The Dutch what? The Dutch oven cruise?
The Dutch apple.
Dutch apple cruise. What's the Dutch apple cruise?
You went on
in
it.
fourth grade.
like,
we
fourth
went
grade,
on
we-
a Dutch apple cruise, and like you learned about all the locks and how locks work.
Just so the fact that you said Dutch oven.
It's very intentional.
Didn't we do prom? Didn't we do prom on that too? Didn't we do a prom boaty thing?
We did do a.
That was your prom.
That was your prom.
No,
No, that was our prom.
That was your
That
prom.
was our prom.
Yeah, I'm fucking. Our class was better than a boaty prom.
Their prom was at Crooked Lake.
Our prom was better. No,
It was on that boat. I don't remember the name of the boat.
I don't either.
Not
Yeah.
the Dutch oven. No.
No, not the Dutch oven or the Dutch apple.
What
Either
a
way,
slip.
the Dutch oven cruise. It sounds like a terrible cruise. I don't want to be on that cruise.
Yeah. We're back though. Hey, one thing I wanted to touch on though, and like the number of times you would come home from work and just be like, fuck, I dealt with this asshole or this guy, or I mean, it's real, right? Like we deal with people who are like that, and just like being a female in like a managerial role, like tough, right? Especially with older people that you're in charge of.
Yeah. My last two positions were management roles where I was over people that were older than me.
Right.
And had more work experience than I did. So it's challenging. One of the ways I felt like I coped with it was I had to gain their respect first.
Mm-hmm.
So asking them their opinion on things. And then I had to determine for myself, like, okay, is that the best way to do this or not?
Right.
But at least giving them a voice to, instead of just like, this is what we're doing.
Right. It's like so much strategy just to make one.
I always came home and I would say I was managing people's emotions all day. And that's exhausting.
Yeah.
Like, imagine managing your own emotions and then now you're managing 15 people's emotions.
I can't manage my own
Because they're
emotions.
mad at your boss.
Right.
Not me, they're mad at my boss.
Right. And you're just like this middleman.
Yeah. Essentially just like shielding both in a way.
Right. Right. And like losing a lot of nutrition stuff that you like to do because now
Yeah.
like that's not even your primary role.
Not anymore. Wait, I'm not in management anymore.
right,
now
I'm
I do strictly like
Correct.
nutrition.
Correct. I'm saying that's
But like
just
in your old job.
Yeah.
Right.
I did.
change.
It was a little bit of a mix, my last one, but prior to that, I was in like a community setting. So and it was for Meals on Wheels, so I oversaw like kitchen staff and stuff. That was very different.
Right.
It doesn't sound like your cup of tea.
I mean, it's fine.
Doesn't
It
sound
was
like you're-
hard.
Doesn't sound like you're where you would feel like you could thrive in that
Right.
necessarily setting, like yourself. Like not that you didn't, but like
No, I
that
mean,
you
it
felt
didn't provide me with like the brain stuff that I wanted.
or sense of satisfaction of like you left work and you're like, all right, I feel like I fucking did.
I mean, it
something.
was rewarding. Like the
Okay.
job is rewarding because you're essentially like feeding elderly people.
Okay.
So you felt
Yeah,
better about it.
Meals on Wheels.
But as far as the like using your brain nutrition stuff, that wasn't really there
Yeah.
for me that job.
Right. You say kitchen staff. You know what I think of right away?
John Taffer.
Bar rescue. Yep. Shut it down.
I think of the cafeteria lunch ladies, but that's just me.
Oh, God bless them. Yeah.
Great ladies.
It's
Awesome.
similar to that. It's similar to like the cafeteria, like how you would imagine. It looks like the cafeteria at school
Okay.
in a way.
Right.
It's not like a restaurant. That's like buzzing. Like there's a lot going on. In the setting where I am, it's just essentially there's a line and
It's
you're
like an assembly line.
plopping food onto
Yeah.
trays.
But did you that was your high school job, right? Like working in a restaurant, like food
Yeah,
service.
cafe. Yeah.
Is that where you're like, I want to be involved with food, or no? That was just a high school job.
I don't think it hit me that I wanted to work in nutrition until I was in college. And it was because I was like, oh, I always have really liked food, so learning about it on a science level is pretty cool. But I don't think that hit me until like junior, senior year of college.
Right, that's what you wanted.
Because
to
my
do.
undergrad wasn't in nutrition; it was in athletic training.
But that's crazy to think about, because how many times with the kids that we have here going to school, like they're trying to figure out, oh, I gotta major in this. I gotta do. You didn't figure out that that's the path you wanted to go till you were junior and senior in college.
Yeah, and I had already changed my major once.
And I mean,
you talk about that all the time with kids in here that you change your major.
All the time. Like, it's one of those things, like, I'll never forget one of the girls that just went to college recently, like, she was sitting there, like, I gotta tell them what my major is, like, for this program or whatever for, like, senior night. And I'm like, just tell them whatever. I'm like, it doesn't matter what you choose now.
Right.
I'm like, I changed my major 2.5 years into college.
Right. Like, tell them you run the Dutch oven cruise line. It doesn't fucking matter. You're 17 years old.
Like, I think I am a big believer that almost every kid should go in undecided. Because if you know what you're want to do at 18, great. 90% of kids have no idea what the fuck they want to do at 18 years old.
Unless you're Mike. Mike knew when he was like 9.
I don't think I knew. No.
I mean, Mike definitely knew, at least when I feel like in high school you had an idea.
Well, I liked to work out, but that's how most people in this field get into it. They like to work out. It's like, oh, I'm gonna make this make this my career. But then there's levels to this shit too. Like, okay, I like to work out, but now I need to like to help people and like.
Well, and that's the bigger thing. I forget where I saw it today. It's like, if you actually, you know who I saw it on? Tony. Shout out Tony Gentlecore. Saw it on his Instagram. It was like, if you want to be in this industry, like, you have to want to help people more than you want to do anything else.
Yeah.
And if you don't want to help people, you're never going to survive in this industry. You could be the most jacked person on Instagram or whatever, but in the end, people will see through your bullshit. And that's where, wanting to genuinely help people, which, I believe all of us here want to do, and that's why we all got into the industries that we wanted to get into, is besides the fact that, you liked working out, I liked working out, you liked food, but we wanted to help people too.
I liked food.
I mean, 90% of the reason why I started working out was because I like food, and I was like, well, if I'm going to eat all this food, I need to do something to counteract that. And, now I've found a balance with the two things, and I find a way to enjoy food. I enjoy my workouts all the time for the most part. And, in the grand scheme of things, like, when I'm here, like, I thoroughly enjoy, like, when I get those questions, like, of how to help a kid, whether that's not workout related.
Right.
Like, those are the questions, like, when I get kids asking me about college and things like that, that's the stuff that I'm like, yes, let's fucking talk about this.
Right. But that's like, we've talked about balance and enjoyment, and like, that's what it's about at the end. But sometimes it's, you got to dance on each end of the spectrum to get there. Like, you got to be extreme in this and how you work out or how you eat, whether it's on the, like, just having plain chicken and fucking broccoli and tequila shots, if you're Sam. Or on the other end of just eating fucking shit all the time, that at some point you have to realize you got to get back to the middle somewhere.
And most of us are there at some point when we're, for the most part, I'd say most of us eat pretty balanced up until a certain point in our youth. Obviously, our parents have an influence on that, but, like, it's, it's pushed on you. Like, I remember the food pyramids and everything like that, whether or not
but that's kind of fucked too.
I mean, it
right,
is,
Sam?
but in the grand scheme, it, like...
Food pyramid?
Yeah, just how it's structured, or am I wrong? Am I wrong? Didn't they change it? It's not a pyramid anymore.
Yeah, they changed it to a plate.
It's a plate now.
Right, it's a plate, but in the grand scheme of things, it did focus on balance with a lot
Yeah,
of
the
things.
pyramid, I think, was just harder for people to understand, sort of thing. So they changed it to a plate because that's what you're
looking at is a
what
plate.
you're looking at.
Is that like what you said before? It's like protein and veggies and
yeah, the
fats
plate
and,
kind of looks exactly like that.
right,
but
it's just like that.
Yeah.
Yeah, my parents didn't know. We growing up, they didn't. I don't think they knew. I remember Pizza Hut, Lunchables, Kids Cuisine. Shout out Kids Cuisine for the little brownies and the whatever little pizzas and nuggies and stuff. It's a penguin.
Yep.
On the
Toaster
front, I
strudels.
think. Yeah, we were more Pop-Tart family.
I did both.
Right. But this is extremes. Our families didn't know enough.
Right.
And now families know too much.
And they don't know how to
I don't know
decipher it.
Yeah.
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 I mean, growing up for me, I would say other than being sent to bed with my glass of sweet iced tea, my diet was pretty balanced. We didn't eat out that frequently, only like on a weekend night would we go out to eat, and my mom made home cooked meals.
Right.
Yeah.
And then Thursday nights at my Nona's, we didn't call her Nona, at my grandma's we had spaghetti night.
Mm-hmm.
And
She
that
put
was
some shit in that pasta though.
the sauce.
The salt in the sauce. Not
Yeah.
I'm not saying shit. I'm just saying she put anything in that
Yeah,
sauce.
you just throw anything in
Were
there.
there ever squirrels in that sauce?
At some point, not when I was growing up, when my dad and them were younger, she threw like squirrel meat in there, rabbit meat.
Oh,
I mean,
shout out
listen,
Grandma Leslie.
Sometimes you got to do what you got to do. You got to get
Yeah.
that protein, you know?
Yeah.
So, I
I
mean,
mean, they had like 7 kids they were trying to feed, and like we're poor, so
you gotta
you
figure
got to
it-
do what you got
gotta
to
figure
do.
it out.
There was no kids cuisine then, so you
No.
go right to the
No.
squirrels.
Yeah.
You know? I mean, I feel like I had a pretty well balanced meal, but I feel like the difference is like from now between then, like I guess you could say it's a good thing. I never like my mom never restricted me from anything.
Yeah.
Mm.
But I wish she told me, hey, you know,
Mm.
don't have those fucking that whole sleeve of Oreos right
now
now.
you're kind of sliding down a slippery slope.
But
So I was gonna say though is like parents need to be mindful how they talk about their own bodies in front of their kids.
yes,
Yeah. Good
yes,
point.
That's,
that's-
definitely something.
That's definitely passed on. It's like kids
Mhm.
just imitate, and they may not know what they're doing.
If you're calling yourself fat in front of your kid,
Yeah.
they're then gonna be like,
Yeah.
"Oh, am I fat?" Or if you're grabbing your thigh and being like, "Oh, look at this
Yeah.
jiggly thing," like,
Yeah. And I mean, that wasn't more where I was more going down the rabbit hole of like eating a whole fucking box of Oreos like before I went to bed,
Right.
like an entire thing, like not just like, you know, 5 or 6 of them, like an entire box of Oreos. I probably could have gone without eating the entire box of them, but you know, my mom never said, "Oh, you can't have this, you can't have that," type of thing. So like that's one thing like I do appreciate like growing up. Like I was never restricted, but I do wish she kind of put like a limit, I guess you could say, on how much I could
Yeah.
have eaten of the Oreos.
I know one of the things
Because I still do that now. Like, there's times where I literally eat, like, I'm literally just mindless.
Mm.
And I'm
Yeah.
like, all of a sudden I look
Ah.
down and I've eaten, like,
It's a
15 Oreos. And I'm like, holy shit.
it's
I'm
a
like,
lot of there's a lot of mindless eating, right? Like mindless like binging. Probably
Mhm.
mindless eating goes along with that. It's like you're conditioned.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You're
And and now you see parents that are not restrictive, but they just don't have it in the house,
Yeah, then
sort
that's
of
it.
thing. And then they'll go to after a certain point, you can't control that as much as you did when they were younger.
Right.
So if they go to a sleepover and so has Oreos and soda,
right. They're
you're-
losing their fucking mind.
yeah,
Bounce off the fucking walls.
yeah.
Give me
Like
that,
I
yeah.
remember growing up, but that can work out too. Like we didn't have soda in my house. That's because my parents didn't really drink soda, and I never really drank soda. We had sweet iced tea, but
Right.
yeah, I never, and still to this day, I'm not a big soda drinker.
Right.
And I never I don't remember going to parties growing up and be like, I want a soda, because I wasn't given it, sort of thing.
Yeah.
I had it on special occasions, but
Right. Okay, go here quick then. Let's say a parent's listening and they're just like, fucking, I want my kid to be gluten free and this and that, because they read it and they have like information overload. Like we've heard crazy shit in
Mhm.
here. Like there's a balance of teaching a kid how to eat healthy, but also like if you want to have a snack packs rule. You're gonna have a snack pack. Doyle rules. You're gonna have a snack pack, right? So like I don't know, where's the balance of like teaching good habits versus letting somebody be a kid? So we talked about that with sports last week with Rob, in terms of like being a kid, but still developing discipline. I don't know.
yeah, I mean, I think you also have to give the child autonomy to make their own decisions. So at a certain point, like sure, if you don't have soda in your house and you go to a family party and there's soda there and your kid asks you for soda and you say no, it's more about teaching moderation. So you don't want to say no to everything, because then that's going to make them want it more,
Right.
especially when they're unsupervised. So allow them to have a little bit. Obviously, they shouldn't chug a whole liter of soda, and I'm sure they're gonna love it. But you have to teach them that okay, we have soda on special occasions. We don't drink it every day, and you could tell them the health stuff oh, you could have more cavities if you drink soda, or if you get sent to bed with iced tea.
Yeah, you had a few casualties too to that.
Yeah. Just things like that. You want to expose them to it, and not make it all about we don't eat that because it's not healthy.
I mean, it all comes down to moderation and again the balance side of things, right? Like if you you can have it, but don't
Yeah.
fucking do me and eat an entire pack of Oreos
Yeah.
in one sitting.
It's more about mimicking the behavior too. Like if
Yeah.
you want your kid to make healthy choices, you should be showing them what healthy choices look like.
I mean,
Like I saw something the other day about on some, I forget what it was. I don't know if it was a dietitian, but she was walking around with like bell peppers and like chomping on them while she went to talk to her kids while they were doing homework, and they don't eat vegetables. And since they saw her munching on a pepper, they were like, "Oh, can I have some?" And they eat it. Only because she had some in her hand and they wanted whatever she had.
mind tricks.
Yeah, that works. That's like my uncle like has like a little gym set up in his basement, and he'll like run on the treadmill and do push-ups and shit. And so many videos of my little cousins like running on the treadmill and doing push-ups and shit because he's doing them and they're mimicking, and that's what kids do.
Yeah, and I mean, you know, I have younger brothers, and my one younger brother, like, he started working out more because he sees me working out. He sees me, you know, posting my stuff with my Achilles, and he's like, "Fuck." He's like, "Yeah, like, this is what I want." And that mimicking thing is definitely, you know, whether it's a parent, an older sibling, or whoever it is,
Yeah.
you know, they mimic people that they look up to.
Yeah, but you also have to work through your own stuff with food
Yes.
too,
Right.
because yeah, and that can be hard. Like obviously you want your kid to have a good relationship with food, but you should probably fix your relationship with food too.
It's the same with athletics. You want your kids to play sports and do well, but you better fix your own relationship with athletics and what that is in your brain. Like we talk, like you know, kids in 7th grade that we talked about last week, and all of a sudden the parent thinks he's playing the sport to guide him to a scholarship. It's like the same shit. It's all a lot comes down to the parents.
It does. Just comes down to like whoever the authority figures are
Right.
in their life, whether it's parent, coach, teacher, whoever it is, because you know it could be the parents, but like maybe that kid isn't influenced by their parents because they don't have a great relationship, and they're influenced by their coach or their teacher or whoever it is. So it's just whatever authority figure is in their life that they look up to, you know, making sure like if you're that person and you want to help that person, like you said, have your ducks in a row, essentially.
Yeah.
Yeah, this is true. Well, we made it through this thing without Sam pulling out her screwdriver, so
Yep.
That's
I
good,
got
right?
no stab wounds, so I survived.
we're good, man.
I'm the closest to her, so
We're good. But
probably
no,
better.
yeah, Sam, thanks for coming on, chatting nutrition, doing your thing. So we'll pick up next time, guys. Thank you.
Over and out.
All right.
That was good.